Welcome everybody to our virtual training on virtual AT demonstrations. And thank you all for joining us today. This is obviously a hot topic in these very unusual times. We are planning to go to 4:15, and we hope that that's enough time. We also, just FYI, AT3 has upgraded our Zoom license, so we could have up to 500 participants if there were that many interested in this topic. Actually, before I go into reminders, Caroline Musselwhite, many of you know who she is. I learned from her that we should always start a presentation that relies on technology with the prayer to the technology gods. So it's a very simple prayer. Please, please, technology, work. Okay, so you guys are at this point no strangers to the Zoom platform, and you know that AT3 is committed to accessibility, so all of our webinars are captioned. You should be able to see the CC button on the control panel, which you can click to turn the captions on. Every week, at least for the foreseeable future, we will be having AT3 weekly webinars. And these are listed on the calls webinars page on at3center.net. So every Thursday at 3, the topics will vary. We also will be obviously recording and archiving the recordings for your convenience. We also hope that you get familiar with the emergency management resources that are updated on our page, as well as daily resources that are updated on the AT3 Center Facebook page. So our agenda for today is Stacy Driscoll. I know many of you were very disappointed that Stacy had to really rush off before all of her content was covered last week. So we're bringing her back up to finish up. And we will be posting her PowerPoint as well as an archive of both this week's and last week's webinar. When Stacy's done, I'll be giving a brief review of the elements of a demonstration. And then we have a very distinguished panel with us today. We have Tracy Kenninger from Iowa, Martha Rust from Georgia, Kim Singleton from Pennsylvania, and Jeannie Kroll from North Dakota. At this point, I'm going to stop sharing and turn it over to Stacy to share and bring us on home with Zoom.
Okay, so is my screen sharing? We're all good there? Okay, perfect. So I'm just going to continue where I ended last week. These last few slides just gave a really quick kind of spit everything out quickly at you. So I just want to take a little bit more time and point out when you're sharing your desktop, how you might be able to do some training and demos that way. So when you're sharing your desktop, so we talked about you go to the bottom and there's a little share button here, and then you can actually go ahead and you can share any of your screens. You can share just a PowerPoint or whatever's on your screen, but you may want to actually be sharing your iPhone, iPad, or your iPhone or iPad via AirPlay or via a cable. You're going to have to put in that you trust that particular device if you're plugged in or if you're over AirPlay. I think that you can also do this with Android as well. Mine only comes up with these options, and I it might be because I'm on a Mac, but it does give you that option as well, I think. And so by clicking on this, it then will give you you can then use your camera on the iPhone on your device, and then you could hold that and do your mirroring, use it as a camera or actually mirror what's on that particular device. So looking at having a meeting versus having a webinar. So for both meetings and webinars, individuals can register ahead of time. You can have a large group, you're captioning, and then you can record it and share it. Also looking at something within the last week that has come up, and CART is certainly the best option for the best quality of your captioning. But I've heard people saying that they're using Google Slides and pulling that up in a different window. So just the individual who's using that captioning, if you turn the Google Slides on, it will caption anybody who's speaking within that Google slide, and you can have that as your captioning as well. So another kind of workaround. And then for having small groups, being able to show the devices and features. Video sharing we're going to talk about in a minute, and then inviting a presenter, so you can actually invite somebody to be the presenter while you're doing that training. So if you are sharing videos, this is really important. So if you want that sound and the video quality to go through, down at the bottom of your sharing screen, so when you click share screen, so you click the green button at the bottom that says share in the middle, and before you actually share whatever screen you're going to share, you want to actually click off that you want to share your computer sound and you want to optimize for full screen video clip. So in order to get the best quality from your video, you want to click those off. If not, you may not have the sound coming through your computer. So here we have what it would look like of sharing the screen. So I have the screen. You can see that there's a whole bunch of toolbar. There's a toolbar up here where you can pause or play. You can still manage your participants. You can take remote control, so someone else can actually take remote control of your computer, and then you can annotate. So I just want to quickly, oh, this one is that you can also add to your chat and everything here. You can show your recording and where you're recording from. You can invite people. So don't forget to look at that more as well of what you can do there. And then when you click on the annotate icon, you then have the ability to actually draw on it. You can highlight with that as well. So if I go over here to annotate and I want to actually spotlight, so if I click my spotlight, I'm now able, so I'm using the annotate right now with the spotlight, and so you can see that I am having a spotlight that's going to show you this is how you stop sharing your screen, and so it's going to actually spotlight. And then I can actually erase or write, format anything. So maybe I want it to be green instead. So that's for formatting. So if you're going to draw, you can have it formatted. So lots of different options within there to be able to spotlight and to do some annotation on your slides as well. And then we have some resources here. This will be all in the, it's all in the PowerPoint that Amy's going to post up to AT3. And so I am good, and we can go on to the other people.
Okay, I didn't see any questions come in other than kudos to our captioner for doing a very good job. So at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Martha Rust. And Martha, I'm going to let you talk before I go back to share the questions, okay?
Sure. Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. I think it's Thursday. I'm not sure. My days are all running together. I am Martha, and I work with Tools for Life, the Assistive Technology Program in Georgia, and I am our direct service team manager. And so this has been unique times for us. We typically work one-on-one with individuals and help them find solutions to be more independent. So we ourselves are getting creative, having doing a little bit of virtually to like going totally virtually now. So happy to be here and to answer some of these questions.
I'm multitasking, so just a moment and I'll share my screen. Okay, so I wanted to first talk a little bit about what is a demonstration. So if you look at the law itself, it does tell you about what a demonstration is. You should be familiar with this directly or in collaboration with stakeholders. Demonstrate a variety of assistive technology devices and services to help individuals make informed choices. So again, the purpose very clearly is making informed choices, make a decision. So a quality demonstration offers an opportunity to compare and contrast features. So that does imply that there's more than one item demonstrated. You can't really compare and contrast within a single item. The goal is to help the attendee understand the features so they can make a decision. The demo is guided and conducted by someone who knows and has technical expertise with the items. It must be in real time. So you can't record a demo and point somebody to it and call it a demonstration, because there needs to be real-time interaction and effective communication between the recipient of the demonstration and the person doing the demonstration. Wherever possible, you structure meaningful interactions with the device. Now, in what we call blue skies days, and in the ideal world, we say that there should be at least somebody who's got the device in front of them. And ideally, it's a consumer, so that they get hands-on experience with the device. So today, we'll talk about some potential options if that is not possible. So it is important, though, that you understand and distinguish between public awareness and demonstration and training and demonstration. So hopefully you're all very clear on that and are doing reliable data collection. Other elements of the demonstration include referrals, where the product could be obtained, where the recipient of the demo might be able to obtain the services associated with the device. For example, if the consumer is interested, but really they're going to need an evaluation, there may be a referral to an evaluator. There may be the need to refer to a funding source. The caveat there is if you are referring them to your state financing program that is run by your AT program, you cannot count that as a referral. If you are encouraging the individual who's now interested and wants to take it one step further to a loan to a device lending program, and it is the device lending program you operate, again, you cannot count that as a referral. Minimally, I encourage you to think about, if you are showing two items, have a sheet of paper that gives the person the contact information for the vendor or manufacturer maybe the website for your referral. Again, to review, demonstrations are part of our access performance measures, so we are looking for a decision. Even if the consumer comes in with their entire family or their entire team, you're going to get one decision per demonstration, even if you've got 9 people around the table. There's one person making a decision in that case. You are going to be looking for satisfaction measures, however, from all of the attendees. You will be asked in the APR for an anecdote. And on this slide, I refer you back to both the Katata website, where you can find the instruction manual, which reiterates this, as well as on the AT3center.net, the portion of the website that deals with device demonstration. So here are the questions for our esteemed panel. And again, we're going to kick off with Martha. And I'll just read through the questions. Were you conducting virtual demos before COVID-19? How are you thinking about recruiting participants for virtual demos? What video conference platform are you planning to use, and how will you help participants that are on the other end if they've never used the technology? Have you thought about what devices or apps you're going to or are right now prepared to demo? For example, maybe you only have a few that you were able to grab before access to your office was closed. Or currently, are you allowed to go into your office and retrieve some items, and which ones will you pick? How are you using other resources, for example, YouTube, to demo? So the example for that I have in my mind is, think about having YouTube clips from device A and device B, each of those clips being just a few minutes that discuss the features of those devices, and you as the informed demonstrator and tech expert then talk to the consumer and do your compare and contrast. So that might be a way to think about using YouTube clips. Another resource, and I hope you're all getting these, the responses that I got from ATIA members, surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, many of them are lending equipment that you could then borrow for demo. Any hints or tips on how to use your iPad as a dock camera? And I know that Martha is going to talk about that. Strategies for obtaining performance measures. When we're doing face-to-face demos, we sort of don't let them leave until they've completed the performance measures, right? So this is a little trickier. Have you thought about strategies for obtaining performance measures? And any other thoughts from our panelists? So Martha, we'll let you start.
Sure. Thank you, Amy. I guess you just want me to just answer all these and then
any way you'd like.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll go ahead and get started with the first question. Were we doing this before COVID-19, or were we trying something new? Yes, we were doing some of this before COVID-19. We have used our telepresence robots in the past to do some demos, but especially with people, since we are housed at Georgia Tech in Atlanta, and a lot of people don't really want to come into Atlanta because of traffic, or maybe their location is a couple hours away. So we were doing that before with our telepresence robots. We've actually worked some on Skype. And now Georgia Tech, we have BlueJeans platform and Microsoft Teams. So now we're actually doing a lot more of that. We are we've done a little bit of a training too with our staff, not just with TFL, but also our CIDI staff too, on some of the features within Microsoft Team that seems to be very helpful. For example, within Microsoft Team, there is the ability to have AI captioning if you have the right thing downloaded. It's only beta testing right now within Teams, so I hope it kind of lasts, and you have to be on a PC for it to work. But yes, we're definitely using this a lot more now. As far as recruiting participants for the decision making, I'm not really sure we're recruiting. People are reaching out to us. I have noticed, and I've talked with my team about it, some of the folks that we were working with before we were moved to work from home full time, have reached out and said, let's just wait and see what happens. And so now I expect them to be reaching back out. We just found out today that, you know, at Georgia Tech, we may not go back to our offices. It could be May. We're not really sure yet. They've already have classes put online throughout the summer. So we could be expecting to get people to begin to reach back out, since it's going to be a lot longer than when we first thought. Who knew we would be right here where we are now a couple of weeks ago. We are looking and are working on creating a COVID-19 really short webinars that we could post to our online platforms and our social media platforms. They're really short. One of them is about communication and some communication tips in case something happens and you do get sick and you may lose the ability to speak. We're also creating short ones on apps for working virtually, mental health apps, recreation playing online as well. So we expect once those are out, we may get more questions about that. We also have created right off our Tools for Life website. We have a COVID-19 resources link for people, and that seems to be updated daily. It's got information about software that vendors are now offering for free, working from home, all kinds of stuff, whatever we're finding that we could put in one place so people aren't getting information from all over. I think we are all getting tons of emails every day talking about COVID and new resources. So we're trying to put it all in one place, so when people come and check out our website, they also see that we're still working, and then we're putting those resources together. I can put, I see there is a website. I'll put that up after I get through, a link to our website, so you'll get that. What video platforms are we using, and how do we help participants on the other end? Again, Tech has Blue Jeans and MS Teams, but I think we've also used Zoom. I know a couple of us have Zoom accounts. We also have I think WebEx, I believe, is another one that we've been on. So in the past, you know, we tried to do a brief overview of how to use these platforms. I actually have done several, I guess, and I don't know if they're demos or more trainings, but have people reached out to me, you know, like, okay, now I'm having to use Zoom full time at work. Can you show me some tips, or how are you using MS Teams? So sometimes it's working with them while we're in that platform, just showing them different features. In the past, people have sent us pictures about what they were not understanding about their device. I've even had people screenshot things to me and try to work from there. So when we are using these video platforms, we do want to make sure that the other end users understand how to use what we're using, even if it's a brief, you know, overview when we start. Also, I don't know if you've seen some of the news stories about people hacking Zoom meetings now. So we definitely are being more aware of safety and privacy, especially when you're doing using these video platforms. Let's see. I took some notes because I'm presenting it as our TFL team. So my team has been, the whole team has been great with giving me some suggestions. So what devices, apps are you going to prepare to demo? It was kind of crazy here in Georgia at Tech when we got the announcement to work from home. It wasn't really until fully March 16th that they really wanted people to really work from home. So I know at the time, some of us, depending on where we live, were able to actually go in the office and grab things to help with the home office. I don't know, and if we really thought it would be throughout April, if longer, that we were going to be working from home. So I do know some of the team members were able to grab iPads with apps on it. A lot of us in our home have smart devices like the Google Home or the Amazon Echo that we could demo or whatever. Are we allowed to go in the office? No, we actually are not really allowed to go in the office. We have found out that here at Tech, you have to have pretty much written permission from the dean to be on campus. They're actually pulling people over. And so you have to show a certification that you were able to be on campus. So they really want students and people off campus as much. We are very lucky that one of our team members, Danny, is able to go on campus not more than twice a week. So with him being able to go on campus, we're looking to work with him closely on maybe demoing some of our items that are there. We are all brainstorming and being creative how to get people what they need. So we are lucky in that fact that we do have someone who's able to go on campus. So it could be that we do a demo that has, you know, myself and Danny and then the participant or whatever. So we're definitely being creative. Just yesterday, we found out that Georgia will start a shelter in place for the next 2 weeks. All of our schools have been closed for the end of the year, and then all the U.S. schools are online and will continue to do it throughout the summer. We did have a meeting this morning, so we're not even sure what that means for faculty and staff at Georgia Tech if we will be allowed on campus anytime soon ourselves. So we're kind of in a holding pattern there. But we are being creative and we've got a good team to try to figure this out. What other resources are we using to demo? Yes, we're definitely using YouTube. That has been great for some of the things. I know that YouTube doesn't really, I think, count since it's already previously recorded, but sometimes, you know, I've been able to watch a YouTube with someone to really explain, and we stop and we pause and go again. As long as they're getting to know what they need to know. I've gotten more requests, not so much for a demo, but how to set something up. How do I set my, here's one I got recently, like my child is using an iPad, but he wants to play games instead of schoolwork. So, how do I set up, guided access to block them out of that? Or how do I set up the, security systems and stuff like that? So I've been able to, watch some videos and kind of explain and walk through with that as well. Some of the AAC apps have really great features and tutorials and how-to tutorials. We're very blessed to have 2 SLPs on staff with us, and so I know they have their iPads with some speech apps if needed to kind of walk through that as well. As for using your iPad as a document camera, yes, we have the ability to set that up, and I'll get information to you, Amy, afterwards. But I don't know if y'all know or got an email, but iDocCam is an app that is going to be free through the month of April right now, and so I have that downloaded on my iPad, and then you use the IPEVO visualizer download on if you're using a PC, and it seems to work really well. So I want to try to open that up so you kind of see what I'm doing. So let me see if I can share my screen. Hold on just a minute. Now I'm multitasking. Okay. I don't know if I can share. It says I can't share because another participant is sharing.
Yeah. I'll stop sharing. Just a minute. Okay. I'll stop.
Okay. I'll just do a quick demo so you all can kind of see. I don't have any equipment really in front of me to demo, but the iDocCam is actually probably more of an iPhone app, but I have it on the iPad and it seems to be working really well. I don't know if you can see the screen yet. Can you all see that? That's just my note.
Cool.
So I could use this. I could, if I needed to, I can, if I'm doing apps, hold on, I'm going to try to open up my phone. So in case I needed to show how to use an app or something, there's a little bit of delay. I can open up an app and kind of walk through it as well. So that's one way that this can work, which seems to work really well. I've used it a few times with, oops, you see my notifications now. I've used this a few times and it seems to work well the couple of times that I've used that, which is really good. So that could be one way to use your iPad as a document stand. Let's see here. And I'm going back to the question. Oh, there it is. Strategies for obtaining performance measures. This is kind of all new for all of us. I do meet weekly, if not more times than that, with my team, and we kind of talk about situations, about what are the emails that we're getting, how can we strategize, and if they are needing a demo, how to do that and how we can use that. So I guess we're just learning as we go along with some of this stuff. It was great, Amy, for you to kind of go over demonstrations again at the start of this. So, it's given me some other ideas too. So I think obtaining performance measures, we're just trying to keep up weekly and kind of discuss and talk about whether or not what we did was actually a demo or a training or information as well. Other thoughts? I see us in the future. We're not able to do loans right now. So we can maybe demo something, but then it's like, how do we get that loans to those people? So it's great that you're sending out all that stuff, Amy, about vendors being able to send things out. This is something we'll probably have to revisit in the near future, especially learning that we may not be able to go back on campus anytime soon. So right now we're not doing loans, but I know that this is something that we will definitely have to talk about in the near future. And then also we're seeing a lot more increase when it comes to funding questions. I know that just talking with Danny as our funding manager and seeing some of the emails that are coming in, we're getting more questions on how to fund some devices now that, for students who are now at home, or, especially with those students who were using communication devices and they weren't able to take them home from school. We've had some questions about that. So yeah, so that's all I got.
Well, thank you very much. We will be capturing some of the references that you made to apps and stuff and getting those out. So Jeannie, next.
Hello. Oh, you want me to just go? Okay. Well, where are you conducting virtual demos before COVID-19? Yes, we've actually been doing video conferencing since 2003 via Polycom is how we started out. The UND School of Medicine got us started in that, and we used it in a variety of ways to include demos, but also to aid others. So you might have someone in one part of the state with some experiences that the others don't have, but they have the client with them in their center. So we would beam each other to each other's centers and help each other out that way and participate in each other's demos to help out. So that's one way. And right now, and since then we've been doing demos when we can't get out to someone's house, basically for that type of reason. And now that's the only way we are doing demonstrations. And we still have a couple people in the office in each center, and then the rest are at home and doing stuff from home. There's those of us that are doing demonstrations at home. We took as much equipment as we could and brought that so we would have it to demonstrate. Let's see, questions. As far as recruiting participants, we actually had clients already booked, and so we just switched those to virtual demos, and so far it hasn't been a problem, and people are still calling in and asking, and we're actually making it a point to go around and tell everybody that slowly that we're still in business from our website and Facebook pages also, and then we're also just making direct contact with individuals, more providers, let them know that we're still available to do things. In fact, I actually even did a workers' comp assessment from my house a couple of weeks ago, and that went fairly well. What video? Okay, mostly we're using Zoom. We've used a lot of different things in the past, Microsoft Teams and things like that, but really we're using Zoom, and we have the professional Zoom accounts. But we were just actually experimenting with G Suite Google Hangouts, the professional version, because it has the same captions that Stacy was talking about. Those are in Google Hangouts, and I have a picture, but it looks just like Zoom. And for those of you that don't know, and then for every person's name, whenever they talk, it says who's talking. So, and the captions are that famous, wonderful Android Google engine. So they're very accurate, and I think they're great. But so what we're thinking, we might use that. Yeah. Does somebody have something?
Have a question about Spanish captions. How does that Google Suite handle Spanish? Do you know? We
might.
know Google AI is smart. How smart?
It might be. That's a great question. I'll let you know. And actually, if you're a nonprofit, Google Suite is free through TechSoup. Actually, I don't even know if you have to go through TechSoup, but it's free. We just signed up. We were just activated yesterday, so we haven't actually had the chance to try it really yet. So we will get back with you on that. I'm kind of excited about that piece. So questions. Oh, and I think another piece to this too is in just the video platform, but it's how you're getting it to the person. And I know, like if you're demonstrating with the iPad and things like that, it's very hard to hold an iPad and show it. You know that. It's also very hard to, like when we're in our center doing a demonstration and we've got a home setup, it's very hard to hold your phone and then also show the stuff. So we've been using the Levo book or tablet stand, and Velcroing our tablet right on there, and then kind of driving it around. You either have a friend to drive or you drive, and that is actually really working well. And I know Courtney, one of our consultants, actually brought one of those stands home, is having her husband drive it while she does a demonstration. So that's pretty inventive, I thought. And apps, well, I can show you. So, as Stacy talked about, Zoom is supposed to be able to import, like on a PC, it's supposed to be able to mirror your iPad. And I think my firewall at home is too much for it, and I wasn't going to mess with that and then end up not being able to connect. So last night I played with some different third-party things and ended up with Lonely Screen. That's actually the name of the app. And this is, I'm going to share my screen now. Amy, do you want to stop sharing yours? All right. Okay. So this is my screen, and this app is Voice Dream Scanner. I don't know, it just came out about a year ago. And basically it's just like KNFB Reader, only about $95 cheaper. And then, oh, it's reading it to me in my ear, and that's the part I haven't figured out yet, is how to get the speech to you guys yet. But I suppose if I didn't have my headset on, you might be able to hear it just through the regular audio. I was trying to internalize it into the computer though, and I know there's a way to do that, but I didn't have time to figure that out. But so just showing this app and then going to, KNFB Reader. I actually did this demonstration for an eval. Actually, I was talking to an IEP team, and they were like, "Well, what's the justification for this this app versus the $6 app?" And for me, for this particular child, it was one button access, and hitting it one button. And of course, I didn't hold my camera steady enough, where Voice Dream Scanner is 2 hits. And I thought that's a good thing just to show you guys, just to so you can see how to compare and contrast. But just showing AAC apps. There's just lots of different things. And again, you can't hear it, but I think that's all I'm going to share right now. But just a second. I do want to show you. This is another thing so that I can do both, just having the Belkin Stand. I love this stand, by the way. Of course, I can't use my giant 12.9 iPad that I have here, but on this particular stand. But this is a real nice one that goes up and down, and then I could have objects underneath, and then also be able to switch to doing the apps, which is sweet. And anything else? Let's see here. Questions. We've certainly pulled in, when we're doing demos, we've never just done a demo with a YouTube video, but we've definitely, if we don't have something and we're working with somebody and all of a sudden we realize, oh, this would be really good for you, but we don't have it in our center, I'm going to quick look it up and then show them a video of how it works. So we've certainly done that since there was YouTube, probably. Performance measures, when it's video like this, we've emailed the surveys to them, they've mailed them back, they've taken pictures of them with their phones and sent them back. We've also done them verbally when we know the person has a physical disability. And other thoughts, let's see here, I wrote something else down here. No, I think that's about it. So, unless anybody has any questions, but I suppose that'll be at the end anyways.
We did get a request for you to send along the info on the Belkin model.
Oh, sure.
Okay. And of course, I'm reminded, and most of you know about the Eileen, Therese Wilcomb's famous invention. And I believe that the instructions are probably online, or she'll be happy to send them to you so that you can make your own iPad or phone, your own tablet or phone stand. So Jeannie, thank you very, very much. Okay. All right, next up is Tracy. Hopefully Tracy Kenninger is.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, thank you. So this is just an example of our realities here in Iowa. I actually live in a rural, small town who does not have access to high-speed internet. And so we have a lot of intermittent connections and not so much connections. So it is really our realities that have been exasperated in our current circumstances. So yeah, we have been conducting virtual demos for several years as well. We have solely gone to virtual demos at the current time. We are still lending short-term and long-term devices. We are mailing things. We are providing things through pickup without having face-to-face interaction. And At this point, I believe that it's working the best that it can. Certainly not ideal, but we really continue to be focused on trying to provide a service amidst these times. We have really tried to find opportunities within our challenging circumstances to reach out and recruit new participants. The most effective way that we have done that thus far is on a daily basis, we are having 2 to 3 Facebook Live sessions. The intention behind that is really to capitalize on the fact that many people have more time, have travel that has been canceled, and are at home. And so trying to take advantage of that opportunity to connect with people. The topics for those Facebook Live sessions have been extremely varied. At times, it's a particular device. It has been just general AT question and answers. We've had some sessions on ICT. We have recorded some. We have done some captioning while we have been providing the Facebook Live. And there are some sessions that we've had 15 persons, and there's others that we have had 200. I don't know if this will be a long-term solution. I anticipate that in time we may see a decrease and have to come up with something different. Really, the intention is that we are increasing awareness, and then having people recruit them basically to do the demonstrations. So again, it's working now, but it might be something that loses its excitement in a couple weeks. We too primarily use Zoom. We have used MS Teams, but very much primarily rely on Zoom. It has been a challenge for us, quite honestly, even before our current circumstances, in that there are countless Iowans who do not have access to broadband, and particularly now because we would meet or they would go to, for example, a public library or some public location, and that's how they would connect, and those options no longer exist, whether it be for the technology or whether it be for the broadband access. So it was a problem before. It has really been an increasing concern under our current circumstances. What we would do typically, and we still do if it is an option, is have a preliminary meeting, phone call, gathering, whatever you want to call it, to help them to learn how to use the technology, and then a follow-up, typically at a different time, to actually demonstrate the devices. Sometimes combining those together in one session seemed a bit overwhelming, and we found it to be more fruitful for the individuals we're supporting to do those on 2 different occasions. We are still able to go into the office. We have an assistive technology technician who is continuing to work from the office. The remainder of our staff are working virtually. And if those team members need to go into the office, they schedule times that are not during our usual hours. Even though the AT technician is present, our doors are locked, so we're not having direct interface with persons, but using phone calls and also virtual connections, even if people are sitting in their vehicle outside of our center to connect with us, and then have another private location where we're setting out the equipment and people are picking it up. Other resources, yeah, I would say similar really to what's already been shared. YouTube as well. I would say that our number one focus at this point is service provision, and not necessarily always making sure we can count it as a demonstration. If we can, and it's decision making, and it's a compare and contrast, of course, that is really our intention and our purpose. But we have really set the tone is our number one priority is to be a service to Iowans at this point in time. And if we cannot compare and contrast, that is secondary to meeting people's needs. And I would say really similar to what others have shared as far as the performance measures, if it is something that we can actually document for a demonstration, we are asking, we are emailing it, we're sending it out. Quite honestly, I wouldn't say it's substantially different than the past when we have done virtual demonstrations, that can still be kind of a tricky piece. And I would say really for just other thoughts would be similar to what I already shared before. I feel a great deal of passion in regards to how obvious it has become to me that we have a substantial digital divide. I think I recognized this before, but I did not recognize it to the degree that we currently are experiencing. And really seeking diligently to see what we can do to be a solution for that. And I think that's all I've got, Amy.
Well, thank you so much for your insights, Tracy. There were several questions or comments in the chat pertinent to the digital divide about how we can serve individuals who have no broadband. I was wondering if there's anybody, and feel free to write it in the chat, who is using or who has thought about using television. I know here, well, at least in New Jersey, there's going to be a lot of instruction happening on television, in part in recognition of this digital divide. Now, I haven't really thought through how you could maintain the interactive real-time part of what counts as a demo, although you could have something and then a follow-up phone conversation. But anyway, just wondering, anybody out there using one of the many, many local cable channels for any of your AT functions? Well, if any of you decide to, let us know. Let us know how you make it happen and how it works. We also had a group of questions about captioning. And in particular, I think that's probably John from Maine, who said he could talk about captioning in Zoom, and maybe that's going to be a topic for one of our future COVID lessons that would deal with captioning while facilitating Facebook Live, talk about multitasking, right? So yeah, so at this point, I'd like to turn it over to Kim from Pennsylvania.
Hi there, this is Kim Singleton from up the street from Amy in Philadelphia. The question from Tech Owl, the question, were we conducting virtual demos before COVID-19? Most of that work was happening with our speech language pathologists. The way we do our work is through 9 regional centers, and the only regional center that has access to speech language pathologists on staff is the one in Philadelphia. So over the last couple of years, we certainly have partnered with other other regional centers to do virtual demos, or families that, or teams that are in other parts of the state. We will virtually demonstrate, mostly apps, communication apps. We have, unlike some other people, we have seen a decline since we have been home. We've been working from home for about 2.5 weeks, and the decline is in the requests for decision-making demonstrations. So what we've done is really kind of beefed up our social media opportunities. And so we'll do things like, we'll say, hey, we've got a slot at 3 o'clock to talk about low vision amplification or low vision magnification. If anybody wants to take that slot, let us know. Or at 2 o'clock, somebody could, message us offline, and we have somebody available that can do a comparison of communication apps. That is starting to gain a little bit of traction. We've always had the ability on the TechOwl website to schedule a video consult. At first, we used it as a way, just as a kind of INA for people with hearing loss, that or people who were deaf who needed a video consult and not a phone call, or a video conversation, INA conversation, not a phone call. We have now moved to more kind of pushing out online demonstrations more. Our team talks every morning. We have a kind of collaborative meeting every morning. And the last few mornings, we've been discussing what we can do to recruit participants other than our social media, because what we're finding is social media is really kind of saturated right now. So we've decided that we are going to reach out to our contacts directly, and we're going to reach out to the people that we know in the disability community and say, is there anybody that this would be helpful for us to do? And we're hoping that that will help us recruit more participants. Before, we are now, the video conferencing platform, we are now using Zoom pretty much. Our team uses Microsoft Teams to talk all day long with each other on video conferencing. But for the public, we're using Zoom. Before Zoom, we were using a platform called appear.in that's no longer there. Now it's called Whereby. The good thing about Whereby is that nobody has to download anything. You push a button and the person you're talking to pops up. And we were using that before Zoom got more of a web browser function. But Whereby was an option for us. Another option that frankly I use privately is Doxy.me, which is a HIPAA compliant and free web platform. So those are some other possibilities depending on what you're trying to get at. So we don't really, when we were using appear.in and now it's Whereby, we surmounted the problem of being able to get people on the other end to use the technology because it was kind of built into the technology. Regarding what we're prepared to demo, we quickly, when we all went home, took an inventory of what we had in our houses and created kind of in teams, created a document that said, well, I could do this and I could do this and I could do this. And then I just got permission yesterday to go back on Temple's campus. And now we have a huge document going that says, what is it that we need to grab? And I'm going to go and do at least, at first, a big going onto campus and getting things for folks to use. our centralized inventory is not at Temple. It's in the middle of the state. That's completely locked down, and it's at a facility run by the Office of Vocational Rehabilitation, and it will be a while before we get access to that. Now, I do have a little bit of money in the budget that I haven't spent for AT. So we're also talking about, well, maybe we figure out a way to spend some of that money for things that that are highly needed items for loans or demonstrations, so that we can move toward opening up our loan program again through this complete hybrid of a way we've always done it. And we're still working out the protocol and practice around both, around the actual handling of the devices. Are we going to spread them out across team members? How are we going to do all of that? Somebody also asked the question about sanitizing. One of the things I'm grabbing is our UV sanitizer, and we have one very healthy team member that just bought a house and has a big empty room, and he said that he wants to set it up as kind of our off-site place to do that kind of sanitization. We are generating a lot of YouTube videos, but we don't really consider them demos, and we haven't really, I mean, I think in the course of doing a demonstration, sometimes we say, well, let me show you this on YouTube, but it's more of a complementary element of the demonstration and not the foundation of the demonstration. Of course, we might be looking at that very differently in the coming months. You know, I think everybody was kind of completely unprepared in many ways, and we're all trying to figure out different things to do. I will say, just as an aside, we do an AAC community meetup virtually twice a week, and people all over kind of come and it was twice a month before the stay-at-home order, and now we feel like people really need connection, so we're doing it twice a week. And I will say, full disclosure, we were Zoom bombed, and it was not pretty. And I really do, actually, all of the participants thought it was hysterical. We were mortified. So I do caution people to really make sure that they use the meeting room function that I believe is going to be default in Zoom starting tomorrow, the waiting room. We all have office hours that are that people can access through our website, and they're video or virtual office hours, and we're all available for different specialties. One of the things that we've done is put out a lot of content recently around COVID-19, us and of course all of us, everybody's doing that. One of the things that we haven't seen too much done around that people have found helpful has been, how do you use Zoom if you're blind or have low vision? And so we have several kind of fact sheets about how to do that. The other thing about my other thought is that we're struggling with how to do distance demonstrations for people who are blind or have low vision. Zoom does make a lot of sense in those cases, and we're trying to figure out ways to, what I have said is, I don't really care whether you call it a demonstration, INA, a presentation, I don't care what it is. If you can figure out a way to help people and to help people make decisions and get what they need, then do it however you need to do it. And let's just figure out what's the best way, and then we'll figure out what to call it, if that makes sense. I flew through mine because everybody else said so much of what I was going to say, but that really, Amy, is about all I have.
Well, great, and thank you so much. And I would say that probably everybody on the call is interested in how can we serve people. So in addition to demo specific information, I would say that everybody's gotten a lot of hints and tips and probably has more questions regarding the whole range of services that we need to be providing to consumers. Yeah, so there was another question stimulated by your comment, Kim, about Zoom for people with vision loss. So we have a couple of comments. Brenda from Missouri says Freedom Scientific has an audio file on how to access Zoom with a screen reader. And of course, I refer you to the most recent edition of AT News and Tips by our fearless editor, who took much of Stacy's excellent content and boiled it down. And in that issue, there are also some great resources, including another blog that's, I think, specific to Zoom and people with vision disabilities. So Laura Plummer just provided training to their Office for the Blind and Low Vision on FAQs. So Laura, send that to me and I'll send that out. So please keep those resources going. Kim, are your FAQs on Zoom available online?
Yes, I just put, they're all available at checkoutpa.org under the tab News. And I believe that they all also have audio files attached.
Okay, great. Let me see if there's any other questions. I know, again, going back to the concerns about the digital divide, oh, Laura was asking for Kim's. Okay, questions about the digital divide. I think I saw that Chattanooga is distributing hotspots. That's one strategy. We know that there's also challenges in dealing with families with a limited number of devices, and even I think it was Jeannie who was talking about having 4 people in her house all trying to do various and sundry tasks, stressing the same broadband service or internet service within her house. Jen, it's a Tech Owl, techowlpa.org. So,
hey, Amy?
Yes.
This is Jeannie. I just wanted to share, you know, another really cool thing about this video that, you know, maybe people haven't thought about, you know, when you've got family members that come into your center, they're always saying, especially for somebody who's aging, you have, well, my daughter, she's in California, and I've got another one over here, and another one over there, and each one of them seems to have a level of decision making for these parents. And with Zoom or other platforms, you're able to connect them all at once and have that demonstration so they all get to hear the same information. And Courtney, one of our consultants, just did that the other day. She had somebody in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and here in the Fargo-Moorhead area, and was able to connect them all, and so they all heard the right story, and then they were also then offline then be able to help her with tech support when she got her rental. And you know, I don't know if we think about those things when we're doing direct, you know, so I thought I'd bring that up.
Great, thanks for sharing that story. And by the way, next week my family is going to be having a virtual Seder for Passover. In a way, I'm relieved. It's a lot less cooking than I'm used to doing. So a big thank you to everybody who's attended and to our expert panel. Just wanted to remind you of some upcoming events. We have the regular Thursday webinar in the time of COVID Thursday at 3. The reuse COP is having a webinar with a focus on reuse of tablets and phones next week. That's pretty timely. We have, of course, the AT3 webinar on the 9th, the demo loan COP on the 14th, another Thursday webinar, another demo loan COP. It's a busy month. By now, I hope you all know where to go for upcoming events on the at3center.net website. And thank you all for joining us today and wishing you all continued good health first and foremost. So thanks everybody and have a great afternoon.